about healthcare sector? Healthcare is a service. Healthcare is a service, right? For those of you who will keep on asking me how it can become services, injection is there, medicine is there. Healthcare is a service, my dear, right? So healthcare is a service. So healthcare sector, do you think it was affecting negatively? That is, pandemic affected negatively healthcare sector? No. Pandemic actually boosted the revenues in the healthcare sector. But on the other side, what about tourism? What about hospitality sector, etc.? It affected negatively. Second, rising or increasing trade barriers. Now, please do let me know how many of you did read the two articles that I gave on Friday regarding trade barriers that Indian exports are facing. Let me know. How many of you have got time in the last 48 hours? In the last 48 hours, in fact, it is 72. So Friday completely over. Saturday and Sunday, 72 hours. How many of you were able to get time to read about the trade barriers that Indian exports are facing? Right? So basically, all of you are okay with second point now? All of you okay with second point? When I say lot of these exports which will happen from India, they will face trade barriers. Right? That is a very simple point. Do not complicate it. Third one, attracting FDI in only certain sectors. Right? We are attracting FDI, no doubt. But the FDI that has flown into India, it has not flown equally in all the services sector areas. In some of the service sector, it is very high. In some of the services sector areas, it is very, very less. For example, right, in case of the FDI that has come into India, 1/6 of it generally enters into IT and ITES related service sector. IT stands for information technology and ITES information technology enabled services. So attracting FDI, we have attracted a lot of FDI, no doubt. But is it entering into all the components in the services sector? No. Some of it attract more, some of it attract lesser. Right? So that is also a concern. Next one, high contribution in GDP but accounts for lesser percentage of employment. If you talk about contribution to GDP, it is more than 50%. But in terms of employment, right, around 30%. So contribution is very high, but basically generation of jobs is very, very less. Some of you will ask me, sir, how is that possible? How is that possible that it accounts very large to the GDP number, but it accounts very less to the growth in employment? How is that possible? I'll write two terms here. Please remember this. One is called as a capital intensive. Second one is called as labor intensive. One is capital intensive. Second one is labor intensive. And when I say capital intensive and labor intensive, please do let me know how many of you were able to read the Hindu editorial on Saturday. Let me see. Saturday I did not have class. Don't tell me. Right? So let me know. Saturday Hindu newspaper editorial. Right? Sir, what was the title of the editorial? It should not be GDP, but focus should be on JDP. Correct? GDP, JDP. Now, if you have read that article, please tell me, have you come across the term, it is not labor intensive? Let me know. Have you come across the term where the author says this is not labor intensive? And by the way, those who are wondering, sir, I read but don't remember, but what is that idea, etc. Argument is very simple. You can invest a lot of money. But two things. One, when the investment is done in purchasing capital machineries. When investment is done in purchasing capital machinery, and when investment is done and lot of jobs are generated. Rather than investing in machinery, you will invest, but lot of jobs are generated. Please understand, under both of the situations, production can increase. All of you okay with this? Under both of these situations, production can increase. If you purchase a machinery, can you increase production? Yes. Can you hire more people and increase production? Of course, yes. So argument is simple. Whether you are going to invest in machinery or create more jobs, GDP can increase. But please think of it. In the second one, don't you think you're generating more jobs compared to the first one? Yes or no? In the second one, you are creating more jobs compared to first one. All of you okay with this? Sir, any example of it? Think of it. If I invest my money in a sector where I'll purchase lot of machines, for example, power generation. All of you okay with this? Electricity generation, right? You will set up a coal production plant. You'll set up a steel manufacturing plant. Do you think on labor money will be spent more? No, you'll spend more money in purchasing machines. Whereas on the other side, labor intensive, gems and jewelry. Gems and jewelry. If you're reading newspapers, very recently a lot of discussion is happening on gems and jewelry, especially targeting one of the cities in Gujarat, Surat. I don't know how many of you have been able to read that article, but again, it did not appear in newspapers, generally these newspapers, but otherwise, lot of discussions happening on gems and jewelry. Please be focused on that. What about textile units? What about textile units? So don't you think gems and jewelry and textile units, right? These are, in case of both of them, lot of employment requirement will be there. Lot of jobs are generated. So please do let me know. I'll use a statement. Let me know whether this makes sense or not. We will be able to achieve higher GDP, not necessarily through labor intensive sector, but through capital intensive sector also. I'll repeat the statement. By promotion of capital intensive sectors or by investing more in capital intensive sectors, we'll be able to achieve more GDP. And again, some of you will say, sir, what about labor intensive? Can we achieve more GDP there also? Of course, yes. But that is not my statement. My statement is simple. Can we achieve more GDP by investing in capital intensive sectors? Yes. Right? On labor intensive? Of course, yes. But let me know, if I'm going to invest more in capital intensive, achieve higher GDP, can I say, in this example, GDP growth rate would be higher compared to employment growth rate? I'll repeat the statement. I will repeat the statement here. In capital intensive sectors, I will invest more, achieve higher GDP, but in this example, the GDP growth rate will be higher compared to employment growth rate. All of you okay with this? Are Baba, some of you are saying no. How can you say no? Please do let me know. Those who are saying no, I will not take the names of the students. But let me know, why are you saying no? If I invest in capital intensive, my GDP will increase. So GDP growth rate would become higher compared to employment growth rate. I'm not saying I will not generate jobs here. Some of you are not following what I'm trying to convey to you people. You're not following. Please listen. I am not saying I will not generate jobs here. My argument is, in this example, my investment in machinery is more. Do you understand? For example, to manufacture this bottle, I can hire 5 people, ask them to manufacture the bottle. But in this example, how many jobs I've generated? 5. Second example, I will hire only one person, spend 50 lakh rupees to purchase a machine. I will ask the person to operate a machine and make a bottle. So in this second example, it is capital intensive. First example, it is a labor intensive. At least now the logic is okay with all of you. Some of you are saying, but sir, jobs are generated, people are there to operate. That was never the argument. The argument was very simple. How many jobs we generate in example 1, right? Jobs generated are very less compared to jobs generated in example 2. Now, please think of it. If you follow a growth where it is capital intensive, can this lead to jobless growth phenomenon? Let me know. I will repeat the statement, and in case of India, it is actually applicable. In case of India, this is actually applicable. Listen to me very carefully. If you invest more in capital intensive industry, and that will generate growth, but not very high job generation, Can I call this as a jobless growth phenomenon? That is, your growth rate is higher. Your growth rate, GDP growth rate is growing at a very fast pace compared to employment growth rate. And that was actually argued. This is required. Generally, I would have discussed it, but this was very nicely argued in the Saturday's Hindu newspaper article. Please read that if you have not read it. Please read that article if you have not read it. Can I simply say, again, if you have read that article, and if there's a question on semiconductor industry, in fact, the argument that was taken was of a semiconductor industry. So is it okay if I say one of the problems with promotion of semiconductor industry is it is capital intensive but not labor intensive? Think of it. If you have read that article, this was the point that the author actually made. Right? Semiconductor industry, very good. It is actually needed. Semiconductors are actually needed. Government is promoting semiconductor industries now. But the author proves that semiconductor industry is capital intensive but not labor intensive. So what we need to do, right? Promote other sectors also which are labor intensive, which will create lot of jobs. Any problem? Can I go forward? And because I'm talking about Hindu newspaper here, today's Hindu newspaper, please read about pulses. The first page, there is an article on pulses. Please read that. Nothing difficult, very simple, supply and demand. Right? The first article, which is on the first page itself, it is on pulses. Please read that article. It's a very, very simple article. Second article, it is about irrigation. Central page, it is about irrigation. Very recently, there is a lot of concern regarding India receiving one of the lowest rainfalls in the month of August. I hope you understand. Very less rainfall, or the one of the lowest rainfall in the month of August, right, in case of India. So there is a concern. There is a very nice article about irrigation. Do not by heart data. Data is not relevant to you. Data is not at all relevant to you. The third article, I am unable to recollect it now. There is one more article. Onion. There is one more article, onion, right, regarding onion, right, lasoon, paz, right, a lot of discussions happening regarding all these agriculture commodities. Please read that. Right, onion prices. Regarding onion prices, lot of discussions happening. Right, yesterday there was article regarding 40% export duty. Today it is about buffer. Today it is about a buffer. Right, it is about having buffer stocks of onion. Right, increasing the buffer stocks of onion in case of India. So three very important articles, right, from Hindu newspaper, today's newspaper. Please read it. I hope you people are making efforts to read this. Right, otherwise there is no point in me reading early morning, sitting, reading, coming and telling you, and I'll say, right, chal, right, I'll not read it. You say whatever you want, I'll not read it. So please make efforts. It is for your benefit. Okay, done. Now, sorry, any articles in Indian Express, my dear? Indian Express, the PDF edition is available at 6 o'clock. The PDF edition is available at 6 o'clock, and 6 o'clock I am there in the class. So early morning, I have very limited time. I generally end up reading Hindu newspaper, so I will be able to tell you only Hindu newspaper today. Right? So, okay, done. So what are the reforms that the government of India has taken? What are the reforms that government of India has to promote services sector? First one, Startup India. We'll discuss it now. Startup India will discuss. Second one is SEIS. Please do let me know. Did we discuss service exports from India scheme? I'm pretty sure I've discussed it, but you tell me. Service exports from India scheme. Sir, where have you discussed? Right, please open the annotated PPT. It is not there in the slide, I know. Open the annotated PPT for international trade. Open the annotated PPT for international trade. In one of the slides, I would have discussed MEIS and SEIS. Okay. So service sector exports. Third one, FDI reforms, foreign direct investment. We'll discuss FDI. Right, don't worry. We'll discuss FDI today. And finally, GST, goods and services tax. Right, sir, where you have discussed GST, please go back. Right, please go back the argument of taxation. In that, we have discussed a lot of reforms, so that is GST. Now, what is a Startup India? Right, what is this idea for Startup India? Please listen to me very carefully. I'll discuss two very important reforms now. Two very important reforms. One is Make in India. Second one is Startup India. And the third one, PLI, we already have covered it. PLI does not cover services, it covers only manufacturing. It covers products, it doesn't cover services. Now, what is this Make in India? What is the concept of Make in India? Make in India, basically it is an initiative of Government of India under which Government of India wants to attract foreign investment as well as a domestic investment in order to promote certain sectors, manufacturing as well as services. I will repeat it again. Under Make in India, Government of India, it's an initiative. It's an initiative of Government of India wherein they want to promote manufacturing and services by attracting investment from the domestic market as well as investment from the foreign market. Next, sir, how many areas are covered under manufacturing? How many areas are covered under services? Please remember the number. Do not by heart them. Right, length is very right. The number of sectors is very high. It's very lengthy list. Do not by heart. Try to remember 2 to 3 at least. Try to remember 2 to 3. And again, these are not very new. Most of you'll be able to remember them. For example, shipping and railways. Please tell me, is it difficult to remember shipping and railways? Right, so shipping and railways, food processing, because it is already over, it is easier for you to remember. Right, so Make in India, 15 areas from manufacturing sector and 12 areas from the services sector. 12 from the services, 15 from manufacturing. In fact, earlier the total list had only 25. Now it has been increased to 27 areas. 27 areas are covered under Make in India. That's the reason I said the list is very long, very difficult to remember. You don't need to remember, right? You don't require all of that. Try to remember 2 to 3, that should be more than sufficient. Now, this is a list. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to achieve with Make in India? Let's start. Point number one, it will attract lot of investment. We want to attract lot of investment from the domestic market as well as foreign market. So investment will be promoted. Second one, please think of it. If you're going to attract investment in aerospace, if you're going to attract investment, right, let's say in automotive and auto components, if you're going to attract investments in electronics systems design and manufacturing, please think of it and let me know. Will you attract lot of investment in research and development as well? Think of it. Will you be able to attract lot of investments? Will the investment in R&D also start increasing? Of course, answer is yes. Of course, answer is simply yes. So point number one, we want to attract overall investment. Second one, we want to attract investment in research and development, and we want to promote more and more R&D in India in terms of patent creation, in terms of right copyrights, industrial designs, trademarks, etc., etc. Then it will also create a lot of jobs, employment generation. In fact, please remember this. Under Make in India initiative, we want to ensure that there will be 100 million jobs generated. 100 million jobs generated. And right, we want to promote overall contribution, overall production of goods and services contribution to GDP. And what are the targets under Make in India? And by the way, we have not been able to achieve these targets. The target year was actually 2022. We have not been able to achieve, but you don't worry, right? Please remember them. So first one, we wanted to ensure that contribution of manufacturing sector to GDP will increase, and the manufacturing sector will grow at an annual rate of around 12 to 14%. Has it happened? No, it has not happened. And again, reason are multiple, the domestic reasons as well as the global reasons. For both, because of both of them, we have not been able to achieve right the objectives as stated under Make in India. So first one, industrial growth rate target was 12 to 14% per annum. Second one was we wanted to create 100 million jobs under Make in India. And the third one, increase the contribution of manufacturing sector to the GDP from somewhere around 16 to 17% to 25%, to around 25%. Okay. Now, in order to achieve these targets, what kind of policies have been implemented by the government, both central government as well as state government? Point number one, In recent times, please do let me know, are you seeing lot of the reforms regarding labor law, labor reforms are being implemented by many states as well as central government? All of you okay with this? If you ask me, sir, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Couple of months ago, right, 1.5 month ago itself, some of the states such as Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, did they amend their labor laws? Those who have read, right, please answer me, and those who have not read, please start reading. Right, they have amended their labor laws. Why? They wanted to attract foreign companies such as Foxconn, such as certain mobile manufacturers. Argument is simple: by making it easier for the foreign companies, you will be attracting a lot of investments. So labor reforms are being implemented both by the central government as well as state government. Right, state of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, etc. All these states are amending their labor laws. And please remember, when I say labor laws, please remember this particular idea. Labor laws is a concurrent subject. Labor laws is a concurrent. Concurrent means what? Both the central government as well as state governments can frame laws on the subject. And that is a precise reason in case of India, you will see central government also has certain labor laws. State governments also have certain labor laws. So state government and central government, they are changing their labor laws, amending the labor laws in order to make it easier for the companies. Second one, most of the sectors now are open under FDI. That is, under FDI, foreign companies can bring money, invest in most of the sectors in India. Third one, goods and services tax, ease of doing business. Right, so government is also implementing many of these reforms, such as reforming the indirect taxation structure in order to attract investments in India. Corporate tax rate has been reduced from 30% to 22%. And finally, many other reforms in order to promote ease of doing business in India. For example, single window clearance mechanism, single window clearance system, etc. So these are some of the policies or reforms. Again, please understand, these are some of them. Think of it. Can I say PLI will promote Make in India? Let me know. PLI will promote Make in India. What about DLI? Design linked incentives. Will it promote Make in India? So there are many initiatives. This is just a sample. This is just a illustration. There are multiple initiatives which will promote manufacturing in India. Now, what has been the achievement? What has been the achievement? Point number one, we have been able to attract a lot of foreign direct investment into India. India is one of the largest receiver of foreign direct investment. Second, right, because of these reforms, it has become very easy to conduct businesses in India. It has become very easy to promote manufacturing, right, investment, higher labor, etc. It has promoted ease of doing business in India. And in many of these individual sectors, we have been able to attract a lot of investment, right, promoted the production. Rather than importing, we are exporting now. Can I give you one example? Mobile manufacturing. Think of it. One best example for this is mobile manufacturing. Rather than importing mobiles now, we are actually the exporter of mobiles. So can I say that is some of these individual sectors which are experiencing the benefit of the growth in the industrialization. Now, right, what are the concerns? What are the issues? What are the problems related to Make in India? Point number one, higher tariff on the imports of the product. The government in the last couple of years has implemented certain policies. Point number one, where they have increased the taxes. Tariff is nothing but tax. Where they have increased the taxes on the products, right, raw materials, inputs which are needed to produce a good in India. Please think of it. Don't you think there is an argument? Many experts argue that government should not be increasing tariffs on these imports. Yes or no? Government should not be increasing the tariffs on these exports. I'll give a very simple idea. Many of you ask me, sir, why? Why should we not impose a tariff on these imports? Argument of certain experts is that if you want to promote competitiveness in the domestic market, you will have to reduce and abolish trade barriers. I will repeat the statement here. Please understand this. You will have to reduce and abolish trade barriers. Do not increase the trade barriers. Reduce and abolish trade barriers. Why? Imagine we are manufacturing this bottle in India. Can I say one way to promote competitiveness of domestic manufacturer is to allow free flow of imports, so that the domestic manufacturer either will have to pick up the game, will have to increase efficiency, compete with the import, or right, basically perish during the competition. Think of it. I'll repeat it again. I hope you understand. Some of you will support this argument, some of you will not support it. That's the reason there are two sides. Always there are two sets of experts. Some experts argue that if you want to promote productivity, competitiveness of India, do not impose more trade barriers, remove trade barriers, so that imports will start flowing. Domestic manufacturer, in order to compete with the import, will increase efficiency, will increase competitiveness, will increase productivity, and in the process, it will benefit overall industries in India. All of you are okay with this? But another set of experts argue that no, we will not allow that to happen. We should not allow that to happen. What if the companies perish? What if domestic companies end up shutting down? Then we are dependent on the import. So I hope you understand. I hope you understand. There are two sides to argument. There are always two sides to argument. Right? Some experts say, do not make them much more inefficient, promote efficiency. And moreover, please think of it. Whenever you impose a trade barriers, don't you think some of the supply chains are very complicated? Think of it. Some of the supply chains are very, very complicated. You cannot develop those supply chains in a very short time period. Sir, what do you mean by this? I'll give the best example. Semiconductors. Are you coming across the concept of semiconductors in recent times or not? Do you think it is very easy to promote production of semiconductors in India? Think of it. Do you think it is so easy? If it was so easy, governments have been trying it. It's not the first time. Governments have been trying it for many, many years now. Many governments have tried it. It's not that easy. Why? You need, right, a lot of complicated supply chain. It's a very complicated supply chain initiative. So lot of issues will be affecting whether we are able to promote semiconductor production in India. And that's the reason, if you're reading newspapers, one very large company, Micron, they wanted to invest in India in one of the state. They cancelled it there. They have shifted to one more state. They want to invest in another state now. Why? It's very complicated. These are very complicated supply chains. Now think of this even in case of laptops. This was the argument of some of the experts. Promotion of manufacture of laptops, which requires a lot of semiconductors, by the way, which requires a lot of semiconductors, PCs, laptops, etc. Right? For that, you have a trade barrier now. You have given a time period of 3 months. Do you think within that 3 months, you'll be able to develop the whole complicated supply chain for manufacturing a laptop? Think of it. We want to do what many countries take years to develop in 3 months. That is the criticism. That is the concern regarding these kind of policies. And please think of it. If government will keep on changing the policies like this, will it not affect investor confidence in India? Will it affect this or not? So if government will keep on changing policies like this, on one side you will say make in India, produce in India, etc., etc. But you are importing certain raw material, you are importing certain input. Now suddenly government will impose a trade barrier. Will it affect investment confidence? Of course, yes. It will have a huge impact on investor confidence in India. So I hope you understand the argument. Again, please do not start criticizing me. Do not take only one side of the argument. Have both the sides of the argument. And based on whatever question they ask, based on that you write the answer. So I've told you, yes, right, by imposing trade barriers, you are protecting domestic manufacturing. That is the reason you are imposing these trade barriers. But when you impose the trade barriers, are you not basically ensuring that these companies will not compete with the international companies? Are you not basically ensuring that they will not be much more focused on their efficiency? That is the counter argument. So I hope you understand both the sides of the argument are equally important. And whatever is asked in UPSC, based on that, you write the answer. Okay. Now, higher tariff on imports, that is also a problem. What about unemployment rate in India? Right? Don't you think in the last couple of years, in fact, this year, unemployment rate has crossed more than 7% in India? That is a concern. Unemployment rate has remained higher in case of India. That's a concern for India. Industrial growth rate, we wanted to achieve 10 to 12% annually. Sorry, 12 to 14% annually like this. We have not been able to achieve that. Too many sectors, right? And because 27 sectors are covered, many experts argue that government will not have sufficient resources to focus on all the 27 sectors, right? They should have covered lesser sectors so that they should have focused on these only few sectors. And finally, what about external sector? What happens in USA? What happens in UK? What happens in Germany? Will it have an impact on India's exports? Will it have an impact on Indian imports? What happens between Russia and Ukraine? Will it have an impact on India as a trade? All these are very important factors. So these are some of the issues or concerns regarding the concept of Make in India. Done? Can we go forward now? Any problem with Make in India? Let me know. Right? Any problem with Make in India? So third point in the concerns, my dear, industrial growth rate, we wanted to achieve 12 to 14%. We have not been able to achieve that. Please keep on reading newspapers. You will only get the idea. In some of the months, industrial production, right, that is IIP, will grow by 10%. In some months, it will go by 3%. In some months, a negative contraction has been experienced, etc., etc. Okay. Can we go forward now? Oh, Baba, sir, intellectual property. My dear, last week, did I show you a table? Think of it. Last week, that's the reason you'll have to keep on revising, my dear. Last week, did I show you a table of research and development investment in India? That's the reason you'll have to focus. You'll have to keep on revising. How much is the research and development in case of India? India, right, the expenditure is less than 1%, whereas in other countries it is more than this, etc. That is the reason number of patents created there are very high. In India, patent creation is very less. In fact, I've shown you all of this. In fact, I've shown all of this. Please revise. Okay. Next. Next one is Startup India. Okay. Next one is Startup India. Right. Concept of Startup India. Right. Slightly technical. Follow this very carefully. Follow this very carefully. First one. What is the definition of a startup which are recognized by Government of India? I repeat. What do you mean by a startup which is recognized by Government of India? The startup which is recognized by Government of India will have to satisfy three conditions. Three conditions. One, it has to be registered. So registration where? It has to be registered under Companies Act. It has to be registered either under Companies Act or Partnership Act or Limited Liability Partnership Act. Please remember this. It has to be registered either under Companies Act or Partnership Act or Limited Liability Partnership Act. There are three acts in case of India. Please remember this. You will have to be registered under one of the three acts. Companies Act of 2013, Partnership Act of 1932 or Limited Liability Partnership Act of 2008. Point number one. Point number two. From the date of registration, from the date of incorporation. Incorporation means from which date you actually established a company. From the date of registration, the company should not be more than 10 years old. The company should not be more than 10 years old. For example, let me know. If you incorporate a company in 2000, right, let's say 12. Imagine you incorporated, started a company in 2012. Is it more than 10 years old? Let me know. Is it more than 10 years old? Yes or no? Very simple calculation, by the way. If you incorporate a company in 2020, now is it more than 10 years old? No. So point number one, right? It is 10 year, more than 10 year old. Point number two, it is less than 10 year old. So second point, have a look at this. The years from the date of incorporation should not be more than 10 years. Point number three, from the date of incorporation, every year, in each of the year, the revenue, the turnover is nothing but revenue. The revenue should not have crossed more than 100 crore rupees. Very simple. The revenue or the turnover should not have crossed more than 100 crore rupees. So if Government of India wants you to recognize as a startup, if Government of India has to recognize a company as a startup, they will have to satisfy three conditions. All the three have to be satisfied. First one, you should be registered under one of the three laws of Government of India. Second one, from the date of incorporation, your company should not be more than 10 years old. And the third one, every year or in each of the year, your revenue should not have crossed more than 100 crore rupees. Right? So this is basically the definition, legal definition of a startup. Now, why do you need to promote Startup India? Why? What is the need to promote Startup India initiative? Point number one, as usual, investment will be promoted. Second one, employment will be generated. Third one, these startups are new age enterprises, new age business. New age business means what? These are not focused on traditional areas. These are not focused on traditional areas. These are focused on new businesses. For example, online education services, right? Online food delivery services, drone technology, etc. These are new age enterprises. These are not focused on traditional areas such as, let's say, steel manufacturing, aluminum manufacturing. These are traditional businesses. So we are focused on new age businesses, new kind of a business now. And because these are focused on new age businesses, they will also invest a lot of money on research and development. They'll create a lot of patents. They'll create a lot of copyrights, industrial designs, etc., etc. So these are some of the reasons why there is a need to promote, right, the startups in India. Now, what are the provisions under Startup India initiative? What are the provisions? Let's go one by one. Point number one, if you are recognized as a startup by the government, I repeat, if you are recognized as a startup by the government, then for 3 consecutive years, 100% tax exemption is provided to you. I will repeat the statement here. Point number one, I'm talking about provisions. Point number one, if you're recognized as a startup, then Government of India will provide you a relaxation. How? For 3 consecutive years, within 10 years, for 3 consecutive years, 100% tax exemption will be given to you. What do you mean by 100% tax exemption? Imagine you started a startup, you launched a startup, whatever profits you earn in 10 years, in 3 consecutive years, you do not have to pay any taxes on the profits. You do not have to pay any taxes on the profits. That is the first one. Income tax exemption is provided. Second one, IP applications are fast tracked. Fast tracked means they are fast. They are cleared much faster compared to others. Sir, what do you mean by IP application? Imagine you apply for a patent. Right? Imagine you apply for a patent. There is a particular process. Process is not important. There is a particular process that is supposed to be followed. Point number one, when you apply for a patent, you will have to pay certain charges. All of you okay with this? When you apply for a patent, you will have to pay certain charges. Government says, I will give you the charges back. Whatever charges you are paying, I will reimburse. I will give the charges back. And point number two, there is a very lengthy process that is followed in order to provide patents in India. Remember this. Right, next year when you read economic survey, I'm pretty sure there will be a topic on intellectual property rights. Please read that. Every year they are giving it. Next year also they will give it. Now, please think of it and let me know. When I say you will have to follow a particular process to get intellectual property right, that is a patent in your name. Imagine you file a patent and number of, let's say officials who are supposed to look into the patent application, the number of officials is lower compared to number of applications. Please tell me what will happen to the time taken for giving patent to you. Think of it. You will file patents and number of officials who are there, right? There's a process, you don't worry about it, simple logic. The number of officials who are there to look into the, let's say applications, check the applications, whether your patent is earlier registered or not, etc. Number of officials are comparatively lesser. Can I say as a result of this, the time taken to provide patents will be very long? It's a fact in India. It's very simply a fact in India. The time taken for providing patents is very, very long in India. So government of India on one side says, we are going to speed up the process of giving patents. I'll repeat the statement. The government has announced that we will speed up the process. We will simply try to ensure that you will get the patents very soon. But the infrastructure to speed up has not been developed, has not improved at the same rate. That is a precise reason. Even today, the time taken for patents, the time that is taken for giving patents in case of India is very, very high. The time taken for patents or giving allocation of the patents is very high in India. So point number one, basically 3-year tax exemption. Second one, IP application will be fast tracked. Third one, self-certification. What do you mean by self-certification here? Imagine you started a company. Okay, you started a company, you've hired a lot of people, you're producing goods. Now, there are certain laws that you're supposed to follow. You're supposed to take care of your labor. You're supposed to provide, let's say, water services, right? You're supposed to provide, certain other, additional services to labor. You're supposed to maintain register of the entry, etc., etc. Generally, what government says is, I will appoint certain officials who will go to the industries and they will do the inspections. Very simple. They'll go to the industries and they will do the inspections. All of you okay with inspections here? Anybody has a doubt, sir, why inspection need to be conducted? Right? What is the reason? Then I'll simply ask you to watch Guns and Gulabs. Right? Again, not recommended for UPSC, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already seen that particular web series. If you have seen it, good. If you have not seen it, is it required for UPSC? Absolutely no. Right? And then you will understand what you mean by inspection. So government has certain guidelines, the measures have to be followed by all the manufacturers. Now, how does government ensure that you will abide by all these provisions? Right? How? They will send inspection team. Now think of it. If the inspection team comes to the startups, can there be harassment of the owners? I'm not saying it will definitely happen. I'm saying, can there be harassment by the officials for these startups enterprises? Of course, yes. Officials will harass them. Right? Many cases it has happened. There is a probability. There is a probability of harassment of the taxpayer, harassment of the companies. Now, that is the reason what government of India says is, I will not send any inspection. I will not send any team for inspecting, the startups. What they have to do is, they will have to give me a self-declaration. Simple. All they have to do is, they will have to give me a declaration saying that whatever laws are applicable to them, they are following them. And because they are giving me a self-declaration, I will not be sending any inspection team to these startups. All of you okay with this? This is called as self-certification. This is called as a self-certification. All of you okay? Can I go forward now? Next one is a fund of funds. Next one is a fund of funds. Now, what is this fund of funds? Let me explain. Let me explain this. What is this fund of funds? Central government, imagine this. Imagine central government will invest in a startup. central government will invest in a startup, have certain ownership in the startup. How many of you would prefer this kind of a funding pattern by the central government? Think of it. Central government, right, has funds. They want to invest in startups because startups also require money. Central government will invest and have certain ownership in the startups. If you are launching a startup, would you want this kind of a ownership structure? Please do let me know. Answer should be no. Point number one, central government's duty is not to own startups. They should provide funding. Central government should provide funding, but not have ownership in the startups. That is not how central government should operate. That is a precise reason. What central government has done is, central government has created a fund. They have created a startup fund. And this fund is called as a fund of fund. Why this is called a fund of fund, you will understand. Just give me a minute. Now, what they will do is, from a fund of funds, they will take money and give it to financial institutions. Financial institutions. Sir, what kind of financial institution? There is a financial institution by the name of alternate investment funds. I'll come to this, just give me a minute. Alternate investment funds. Alternate investment funds, AIFs. And these alternate investment funds, they will invest in the startups. They will invest in the startups. Now, please look at this structure and tell me, do you think central government is having ownership in the startups in this structure? I'm talking about this one, by the way. If you ask me, sir, which structure you're talking about? I'm talking about this. Do you think central government is investing and owning startups? No, they are not owning. And moreover, think of this. Please think of it. Rather than central government making an investment, don't you think private sector institutions are better suited to make investments in startups? Yes or no? Private sector institutions, they are better equipped. They have better experts. Government duty is not that. That is the reason this model is followed by the government. That is the reason this kind of a model is followed by the government. Right? This is called as a fund of funds. This is referred to as a fund of funds. Now, coming to the point, sir, what is this alternative investment funds? All of you remember the concept of mutual funds? Let me see. All of you do remember the concept of mutual funds. What is the model of mutual funds? Right? There's an expert who will pool in money and invest in the market. That is simply mutual funds. It's a pooled of money, pooled investment. Apply the same logic, but only for rich investors. Institutions, apply the same logic, but for very rich investors, institutions, governments. This is called as alternative investment funds. All of you okay with the logic? All of you okay? Please do let me know. Right? Logic is very simple. Pooled investments. AIFs are also pooled investments. But is it available to you and me? Of course, no. It is not available to a common man. Aam Aadmi, no, it is not available. It is available only for high net worth individuals. It is available for rich investors. For example, you want to invest in alternative investment funds. Your salary should be more than 50 lakh rupees. Your salary should be more than 50 lakh rupees. But on the other side, think of it and do let me know. Mutual funds. Right? Your salary is a parameter to invest in mutual funds. Think of it. Right? You will approach mutual fund, the company, they'll say, give me your salary slip. Show me how much salary you are earning. No. Right? So I hope you understand. It's a similar model to mutual funds. It's a similar model. But only difference is mutual funds is available to everyone. It is open for everyone. Anybody can invest in mutual funds. Whereas in case of alternate investment funds, only rich investors, only the rich investors, high net worth individuals, venture capitalists, etc., they are allowed to invest in alternate investment funds. All of you okay with this? Please do let me know. All of you okay? Right? So fund of funds has been created where government will not invest directly. government will give funds to an AIF. AIF will invest in the market. AIF will invest in the startups. And because please understand the logic here. I'm slightly entering into technicalities because this is a fund which will derive a fund from another fund. Think of it. This is a type of a fund, AIF. All of you okay? AIF is a type of fund. But the AIF is getting money from another fund. Can I call this fund of funds? Let me see. Think of it. AIF is a fund and this fund is receiving money from another fund. Can I call this as a fund of funds? In fact, right? In fact, if I use a technical terms, I don't think so UPSC will use this. Can I write this fund of fund as a mother fund and daughter fund? Can I call this fund of fund as a mother fund and AIF as a daughter fund in this context? In this context, that's very important. AIF, can I call this as a daughter fund and fund of funds as a mother fund? This is basically the argument, right? We are going to create a mother fund, and right, money from this mother fund will be given to a daughter fund, that is AIF, which will invest in startups. Right, this is one more very important provision, that is fund of funds. Again, if you're not able to understand what is a daughter fund, mother fund, for UPSC that is not at all needed. If you're an investor, only then that is required. Next one, faster exit policy. 90 days exit policy has been announced for startups. I repeat, 90 days exit policy has been announced for startups. What do you mean by 90 days exit policy? Think of it. When you want to exit the business, you will have to follow a certain process. For a lot of you, closing the business means you will simply lock the gate. According to you, locking the gate means closing business. No, my dear. Can I say closure, exit from the business means you'll have to, right, apply for deregistering your company. Yes or no? You'll have to apply, give an application to deregister your company, because you applied for registration, you have to apply for deregistration. Second, you owe certain amount of money to Government of India. You'll have to clear all the dues for Government of India. You applied for getting electricity connection. You'll have to cancel the electricity connection. You applied for water connection. You'll have to cancel for water connection. So when you say exiting the business, when you say closure of the business, you'll have to follow a certain process. Government of India says, now for the startups, I will provide a policy of 90 days exit. Within 90 days, I will help them exit from the business. Faster exit mechanism also has been implemented. Okay. Lastly, public procurement. Government of India has a public procurement norm. Correct? Yes or no? Right? Friday. Government of India has a policy for public procurement. So government says, whenever I'm going for a public procurement, I will give certain relaxations. I will also consider the startups in the public procurement norm. Right? So these are certain very important provisions of Startup India. Please remember them. Please remember them. Now, what has been the achievement? What has been the achievement of Startup India initiative? One, India houses one of the largest startup ecosystems in the global market. That is, the number of startups in India are very, very high. How many you don't remember? From one year to next year, numbers will keep on changing. It houses one of the largest startup ecosystem. Usually they will give the ranking. They'll say India is the third largest startup ecosystem, second largest startup ecosystem, like this. Second, we have been able to attract a lot of investment under startups. We have attracted lot of investments under startups. Third one, number of patent applications in case of India in the last couple of years, number of applications have increased. Right? So these are certain achievements of Startup India. Then what are the concerns? What are the issues related to Startup India? What are the issues? Point number one, lot of startups are set up doesn't mean they will have a model through which they can generate revenues in the economy. I will repeat the statement. Understand this very carefully. You will have lot of startups which are set up right, day in and day out in India. But doesn't mean all these startups will have a revenue model which is sustainable for them. Because remember this very carefully, whenever you start any company, initial investment will be very, very high, revenues will come very slowly. Is it okay? I'll repeat the statement. Whenever you start any company, initially you will have to invest a lot of money. Revenues will come very slowly. And that is a precise reason many of the startups, one, they will not be able to sustain competition with other companies. Second, they are spending a lot of money. They're spending a lot of money, right? They are not able to earn revenues. At the same point of time, they are not able to raise funding as well. Have you come across the term funding winter? Let me know. In recent times, have you come across the term funding winter? Yes or no? Those who have read newspapers, they will know this. Startups are finding it very difficult to raise money, very difficult to raise funds from the market, especially this year. Especially this year, funding has dried out. So on one side, you're a startup, means what? Your expenses are very high. And because you're a startup, your revenues are not very large. You'll get the revenue, but not immediately. Over a period of time, you'll start generating revenue. And on the other hand, you're not able to generate funds also. You're not able to raise funds in the market. And fourth, in many cases it has happened. Startups have invested money in research and development. They have created a product. But they are not able to create a product which is cost effective, which can be acceptable to the market. Right? They will use a term scalability problem. Are you able to understand this? They will use the term scalability issue. Scalability issue means what? Imagine I'm a startup. I invested a lot of money. I created a product. But don't you think the product is important, and equally important is what is the price of the product? What if I don't create a product which is price effective, which is a lesser pricey in the market? What if the price is very, very high? I will not be able to compete in the market. So that is the reason scalability is becoming a problem for a lot of these startups. They have products, but a price conscious market such as India, I repeat, a price conscious market such as India, if you do not have the right pricing, you'll not be able to scale the product. You'll not be able to get customers for this. So funding issues. Very few startups are getting benefit of these, all these reforms because of external and internal factors. And time for patents in India, even today, it is very, very high. So these are some of the issues, some of the concerns regarding the Startup India initiative. Okay, done? Any problem here? Right, so these are the two very important initiatives. Right, can we go forward? Sir, why only high net worth individuals can invest in AIF? My dear, that's a model. That's a model that has been created. Otherwise, then there is no difference between a mutual fund and an alternative investment fund. Even in case of AIF, if everybody was allowed to invest, then what is the difference between an AIF and a mutual fund? Think of it. Then what is the difference? No difference. That is the reason in case of AIFs, there are three categories: category 1, category 2, category 3, etc. etc. Right? There are different types of investors who are allowed in AIF and mutual funds. Okay, done? Right? This we have discussed last week. Please have a look at it. Okay, right? So India's research and development, how much money we are investing compared to other countries, right? How much money in India? What has happened to the investment? Right? How much percentage will come from the government? How much percentage from private sector? Please have a look at all of them. You will have to read all this. You have to read all of this. In books, they will not give you this, but in current affairs, you'll come across all of this. Done. So these are certain very important points regarding the concept of industries and the policies and the latest current affairs regarding industries. Anybody has any kind of a doubt, please let me know. Otherwise, we can take a break. Right? I'll address your questions, then we can take a break. Questions are there. We'll solve the questions today. What is CCI? Competition Commission of India. It is a statutory body. Competition Commission of India will basically try to address any right? The policies of the government, I'm sorry, any policy of the private sector, not the government, any policies or any activities of the private sector which are going to hurt the customers. Self-certification, there are certain laws that you're supposed to follow. You do not have to be worried about inspection. You can self-declare. You can self-declare to the government saying that you're following all the laws. What is full form of ICI? Index of 8 core industry. It is there in the slide only. Sir, what do they put in patents? What do they put means what? I don't understand the question. What is funding winter? The funds which are going to the startups have dried out, have slowed down. That is the reason this is called as funding winter. What is Udyam portal? Again, please read, Baba. Go to the Udyam portal. Everything is there only. Right? I cannot discuss everything about Indian economy in the classroom. You will have to do certain reading by yourself. Okay. Okay, done. So let's take a break then. 7:53. Okay, I'll start at 8:05.